Hello, trail travelers, it's Kerry, and strange as it might be, taking a break from wheeling this weekend because I'm at a show. I'm at Overland Expo Mountain West. It is so awesome to be outside with all these vendors, all these people, everyone interested in wheeling, overlanding, camping, and just the outdoors in general. Hopefully this turns out to be a two-parter with all the interviews I plan on doing. So stay right there. We'll be right back. All right, we are here over at Heritic Studio.
Correct.
Is that the proper name for it?
You nailed it.
And you are?
Brad Clark.
Brad Clark. And we have got some really cool LED lights. And one thing I've noticed about these is how thin they are. This is something we normally don't see. You're usually like a 4x4 block.
Correct.
So why are these special?
So one of the really special things about these is they're completely made here in the USA, not just assembled in the USA. We make these just outside of our facility in Salt Lake City. We bring in solid blocks of aluminum. It's billet 6061, which is an aircraft quality aluminum. And then we machine it in-house. You can see we're very precise in how thin we keep these. We have these ridges right here, which are actually cooling fins on our heat sink to pull the heat out. And billet just pulls out heat a lot better than any extruded cast aluminum, which is what you'll see in all your other white brands out there. So it allows us to keep this thin profile, still get rid of the LED heat, and be brighter than anything on the market. It's all hand assembled.
In terms of sizes, it looks like standard 4x4s. And
2x2s, all the way up to 40 and 50 inch light bars.
Okay.
If you look up on this 4Runner, that's our 40-inch bar and a Prinsu rack. Very popular in the Toyota community. It's a great product. We go up against the big boys, your Rigids, your Bajas, your KCs. We're every bit as brighter. Our build quality is better. We're handmade in America, not just assembled in America. And we stand by our product with a true lifetime warranty. If anything goes wrong, we don't need a receipt. We don't need you to register online. Just send in the product. We take
So
care of
it begs the question, how do you compete on price?
We're about 30 points less expensive. We're family owned and operated.
Really?
We keep our overhead very low. We're a small operation. We're about 10 guys, and we're, our goal is to put out the best light, the best customer service. If you call us, there's no phone tree. Press 1 for sales, press 2 for this. I pick up the phone.
Someone's going to answer the phone.
Someone's going to answer.
I love that.
And so, we want our customer service to always rock. We know our lights rock. They're the best out there. We will compete with anybody on the market on any level. So,
excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir.
We're over here in the FunTreks booth. If you've never heard of these, you've got to check them out. They're the books that we use on all the trail guides. They've got tons of good information. Tell us a little bit about FunTreks and what the books are all about.
Absolutely, Kerry. Thanks for stopping by. So we started about 20 years ago. The whole idea was to be a guide. We didn't want to pay for a guide service, so we decided to start mapping trails. We don't map everything. We just map the funnest stuff that you'll see. That's what the name comes from, FunTreks. We end up mapping GPS, mileage points, telling you what you're going to expect, who to call for current conditions, and then how long it took you to get the trail and stuff like that. So we've got places for California, Utah, Arizona, and California.
Now, what I like about them is in a lot of trail guides, you'll have the mile markers going through, but you also have the reverse. So if you're coming in from a different direction, you'll often have those mile markers, so you can just reset that odometer and follow along, know where all the cool stuff is. Little things that are off the trail sometimes that are kind of interesting to go see. Absolutely love the books. Now, I use the Colorado ones here all the time. They're fantastic. How many total books are there now? I mean, I know there's like 3 for Colorado, or
well, we have a different selection. There's some ATV books as well too, so that throws in there. But on our website, FunTreks.com, you'll see all the products. We sell GPS data cards, we sell an app, we sell a lot of different things too that can help any customer out there. The idea of the company was to make sure that we're not just stuck with one product and one way of seeing our product. So also on the website, you were talking about mileage, and people like to explore, and we know that. So when you're following our trails in the past, you had to do mileage. Then when you came back, you'd have to try to figure out what to do. You had to do mathematician and stuff like that, figure out my mileage. We have track logs for free on our website that you can download and upload to any other devices you might use. It's a very general format. They follow our trails, so it's easier to use the mileage at that point. Now you're just following the lines.
Right, and you can research a lot of the trails right on the website.
That's correct. You can search for any trail that we produce on our website. It'll bring up a page that has tons of information, including current weather, who to contact, the track log, like I said, and any updates we get as well. That's where all the updates go, because a print product sometimes has to stay in print for a long time.
Right.
So to get that new information out there, our website controls that.
And you can actually download the GPX files, import those into something like Gaia, which I love to use because it shows up on my Uconnect screen, so I can follow right along, right on the dashboard. So lots of cool functionality with FunTreks.
Yeah, and those GPX files work with a lot of different devices, not just Gaia. So we're really trying to make it open for everybody to be able to use what you have. You don't have to buy anything specific.
Great. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kerry.
All right. All right, we're now over at the Factor 55 booth, and if you're not familiar with these products, you must be living under a rock. This is Zach with Factor 55. Tell us a little bit about your products.
We're here basically getting people into the closed system recovery, safer winching, and we're here with Warren Industries as well, so we pretty much just try and attack it from both ends and get you to winch safer and recover safer.
What do you mean by closed system?
Basically making it so you don't have any loose ends or areas of your rigging tackle that could come loose, so everything we have is closed shackle mounts. So basically going between slack and tension, you're always connected and always safe.
So there's no open pieces, there's no clamps with little springs on them. It's all solid connections. That's what makes it safe. You know, I run the FlatLink E on my Jeep. There's some other cool products. I've always liked these hitch ones. So if you don't have a good recovery point, you can put one of these in your receiver, add a shackle, or just run a soft shackle through it. Now, what are, like, you got fair leads. Look at this piece. Look at this thing's huge. But they have a full range of recovery gear, from straps to shackles. This is one of the coolest things. If you've ever seen this, this allows you to fix a synthetic rope out in the field. Now you can do it without it, but I've seen this demonstrated, and it is just absolutely amazing how this works. Or making an extension or anything like that. So how fast can you repair a rope now?
My personal best is still probably 30 to 40 seconds. Justin, our other guy, I think he can do it behind his back in under 18.
Oh, jeez, that is crazy. Now, one of the things that they announced like last year was these rings. Instead of setting up, I'm thinking, totally lost my train of thought there. What do you call those things? Not snatch blocks.
Rope retention pulley.
Rope retention pulley. Last year they introduced these rope retention pulleys. So instead of having to set up a snatch block, which is a lot heavier, more complicated, with the rope retention pulley, you can just use a soft shackle, run your rope through it, and do your same types of recoveries. Now, is that just as efficient as using a soft shackle or using a standard one?
Technically, it'd be more. There's no actual bearing or no other extra parts that you could run into snagging or getting caught up. So it's just a Teflon impregnated center of the ring, and that mixed with or combined with the soft shackle is your actual rotational pulley.
Excellent. Well, if you're looking for recovery gear, check out Factor 55. It's the best stuff out there. It's all the stuff that I run. So thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Well, right now we're over in the QuietKat booth, and they make electric bikes.
Absolutely. Electric mountain bikes for off-roading, hunting, fishing, exploring, camping, and the overall overland adventure.
And one thing that's kind of cool about them is they have the license to make the Jeep bike.
We do.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, let's go check it out here on the back of this Gladiator. So we make the officially licensed Jeep e-bike. And what we set out to do with our parallel with Jeep is create the most capable electric mountain bike ever made. The idea here was to make something that was really synergetic with the Jeep off-road lifestyle. So what you see here is a full integrated battery, fat tires, big suspension, all the things you would expect to see on a Jeep, and it really helps tell that story along the new Jeep 4xe.
So with the vehicle here, tell us about like range, top speed, all those cool specs everyone wants to know.
Absolutely. So the Jeep e-bike comes in 2 different models. It comes in our unclassified version. It's got a 1,000-watt motor with 1,500 watts of peak power. Does not have a speed limit. I've done 35, 40 miles an hour on it. Trust me, it's as fast as you need to go on a bicycle. We also have the
Especially
classified,
off-road.
especially off-road, absolutely. We have the classified version. Here in the United States, we have 3-class system for electric bicycles. This is going to differentiate it from being a motorized vehicle. So what's really important is we have a 750-watt motor, a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, but we also incorporate a thumb throttle. So that puts us in a Class 2 category. If you're riding on a trail or somewhere where you need Class 1 compliance, simply disconnect that thumb throttle and then you just have the pedal assist. That's your Class 1 compliance. Now the other big question, of course, is range. How far can I go? Some e-bike companies will tell you can go 50 miles on a charge. And if we put in the easiest gear and the lowest power level and pedal along, yeah, you'll get 50 miles. But we didn't buy this machine to use it like that, right? So for us overlanders, for people that are preparing, that need to know what to expect about 20 to 25 miles of range. And that's going up, going down, up,
That's
down.
still super impressive.
Super impressive. One of the things that I'll key you over to, check out our video on a QuietKat YouTube channel. We did Hell's Revenge. We were able to not only do the whole bike on a battery charge, but we filmed the entire thing along the way and still had battery left over. So we were able to conclude at the end, with all of the OHV restrictions now going into Moab, you could ride your Jeep e-bike from your hotel up Sand Flats Road, do all of Hell's Revenge, come back into town, and stop and have a beer along the way. All on one battery.
And then how long does it take to charge?
4 to 6 hours out of the wall, same amount of time out of our solar panel accessory, which also brings me to our other accessories. We've got racks, we've got bags, we've got carriers, we've got lights, fenders, everything that you need to really take your adventure with you. Of course, a lot of this stuff available on the Jeep side, and we also have a number of accessories for other QuietKat bikes, including trailers, coolers, and really everything you need to, like I said, take your adventure with you. We're more than just a bike ride, it's a true overlanding experience.
So I got to ask the big question. How much?
So the Jeep bike is at the very top of our line. It's just over $7,000.
Little pricey, but dang, I mean, a good fat tire mountain bike is still going to set you back $2,000–$3,000. I know, because I used to have one. So adding all this capability doesn't seem like it's that big of a hit when you're talking about this level of capability.
Absolutely. And when you compare it to other things in the motorsports world, like ATVs, motorcycles, side-by-sides, it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal where you can get one for a friend, get one for your wife, get one for your partner, be able to go out and have a good time, not break the bank. You can still load it and unload it with our bike rack here on the back of a traditional vehicle. So there's a lot of things here that make it a lot easier and overcome a lot of those barrier to entries that come with a motorsport machine.
So how heavy is it?
Our bikes range from 60 to 80 pounds, so it's heavy enough that it can handle the rugged abuse that you're going to put it through. It can handle the speed, it can handle loading it up, but it's still light enough that you can lift it over a fallen down tree, you can lift it over rugged terrain, things that, again, you can't necessarily do with a motorized machine.
Excellent. So if you're looking for an off-road e-bike, you got to check these out, because not only does it sound really cool in specs, they look pretty freaking cool too. Can't wait to get one out on the trail myself. Thanks so much.
Cheers, thanks so much. Check us out at QuietKat.com. We'll see you out on the trail.
We are over at American Adventure Lab. They make some awesome products, especially when it comes to storage and organization. So would you say that's kind of your focus?
I would say so, yeah. It really helps with my OCD to sort of put things in a box, and so that's what we do. We put boxes on top of boxes. It works out well.
Okay, and in the back here, we have some storage shelves and refrigerator slider. Definitely a cool idea.
Thanks.
But one thing that I was super excited about seeing is this new guy here, and this is the mass storage device, or
mass spare tire platform.
Mass spare tire
platform.
Platform.
Yeah, STP for short. Yeah.
Okay, tell us about this thing. I've been watching the Instagrams and everything, watching this come to fruition, but go ahead and give us your spiel on it.
Yeah. So it all started out, we were headed to an event in Arizona, and I had a big tent that I needed to take that literally would not fit inside the Jeep. So I thought, man, where could I put this tent? Then I thought I should just build a shelf for the tire. And so it was an idea that I had like one Saturday morning, and then that Saturday evening we had the first prototype on the tire. And it kind of ballooned out from there. Like, I didn't realize how useful that would be until we actually started using it and putting accessories on it and brackets and things like that. And we've used the crap out of it. We love it. So it's been great.
I've seen a lot of pictures of them around the Moab area with stacks of wood on the back, all kinds of cool stuff. Now, what all can, is it kind of designed for? We see the traction board here, which I think is super cool. Something I've struggled with is where to put traction boards. But now you also have some optional panels that can go on the side.
So I'll pull this water pack off and kind of show you what that bracket looks like. So this will be an optional piece. It'll bolt on. It uses these original holes here already in the platform. Then you drill the 2 holes on the top. And it makes it super sturdy. It'll already come cut with the square holes for your Rotopax mounts. It also has a flange here for your traction board mounts. So these uses the official MaxTrax pins, which we'll sell those with it as well. And yeah, it's kind of an all-in-one solution that gets everything you need sort of back on the back tire. And as long as you have a sturdy tire carrier, then this thing's good to go.
Well, that's going to be the thing. You don't want to do this on just your stock tire carrier.
Yeah.
You want a little bit of reinforcement. So how does it attach to the tire?
All right, so I'll show you that too. So what we use is, this is a strap that Max Custom Tie Downs makes for us. They call it a continuous loop ratchet strap. So it doesn't have any hooks. It also has this nice Cordura sleeve on it, so it doesn't, scrape up your tire or anything like that. So yeah, you just put it through the wheel, and the other side has the ratchet like a normal ratchet strap. Just tighten it up and it stays on. It takes a little bit to get it adjusted the first time because it's adjustable from a 33 to a 40-inch tire. Once you get it adjusted and clamped down to that tire size, you can take it on and off in about a minute. So,
oh, very nice.
And so the rack itself, not counting the side attachments or your traction boards, weighs 18 pounds. So that's super
impressive.
Light. Everything's 50-52 aluminum, and yeah, nothing's going to corrode or anything like that. So
what are you talking about price?
$400 for the rack. I don't know yet on the attachments. I'm hoping around $50. It just depends on how they nest out on the laser. We'll know that early next week.
So looking for some extra storage? This may be an awesome solution for you. It's definitely one that I'm considering getting just because of the traction boards, the Rotopacks, and the additional storage on top. I think this is an awesome design. So thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, we're over here at Go Fast Campers, and familiar face came into my shop the other day with this awesome rig. Now, I have a rooftop tent, sets up, I can do it in about 2 or 3 minutes, tear down about 2 or 3 minutes. But when I saw him demonstrate this thing, totally blew me away. You gotta show us, because this thing is just crazy. Let's see how fast he can do this. He's got that chin action going. That's a nice little technique.
Got the windows down.
Tuck it in. Look at that. How cool is that? You want a fast setup, tear down rooftop tent? These Go Fast ones are pretty amazing. That is just wicked cool. And set up just as fast, lift it up, you're good to go. That's it. So thanks for showing us.
No problem.
Okay, we are stopping by the Trails Off-Road booth, one of my favorite sites, but one thing that you'll notice from the last handful of videos is I have talked about their app a lot. It is just amazing. Absolutely love what you've done with the app.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm John with Trails Off-Road, and we do online trail guides all over the United States. We go out and map the trails, give them difficulty ratings, take photos, take videos, and we're just trying to inspire people to get on the trails in your comfort zone and have a great time out there. So that's Trails Off-Road in a nutshell.
But I gotta say, the app is amazing. Not only do you have a description, which is better than most, you have all the different waypoints that give you additional information along the way, and it updates as you go along, telling you how far it is to the next thing, what to be looking for. That's cool. But I love the dual difficulty rating. I think that is phenomenal. One thing you'll see on a lot of guides is hard, medium, 1, 2, 5, whatever it is. But tell us about the dual difficulty rating.
Yeah, so we have 2 difficulty ratings. The first number is the mandatory difficulty rating. That's the obstacle you have to complete the entirety of the trail. The second number is the optional obstacle. So if you're out with a buddy, say you're on 33s and he might be out on 37s or 40s, the second number is the one your buddy's going to want to look for because he can go run the harder obstacles on that trail. So yeah, the first number, absolute mandatory obstacle. The second number is optional, a fun play area perhaps. So that's our 2 numbers right there.
Okay, and tell us about the membership pricing.
Yeah, our membership pricing, so we're totally free. We have been the entire time. You can log on to trailsoffroad.com. You're totally free. Our all access subscription is $25 for the entire year, and you unlock all the content, and it makes it a little bit easier to find trails of your interest. So some filtering, some sorting of data, and color coding of all the GPX tracks that we have in our database.
Right, so even though I talk about the app all the time lately, the website is fantastic for researching trails, finding new things in your area. Now, what areas of the country do you cover?
We cover a lot of the West because of the fact that it has a lot of public land. So the West is easy for us to go out, and our next big push will be out to the East to try to get some data out there for all of our customers in North Carolina or Vermont and stuff like that. But right now, we have about 400 trails in California, 400 in Colorado, 300 in Utah, 300 in Arizona. So yeah, we do a lot of the western half of the United States.
I like I said, I have talked about this app like mad lately, but when you're looking at the map view, you'll see all the different trails color coded for difficulty, which is awesome. You tap on it, you get some information, and then you can just say get directions to it or follow, which will just start you at the beginning of the trail and take you all along those trails.
Yep, you can follow along with the push of a button, and we will take you waypoint by waypoint and tell you the next upcoming obstacle or turn or camping location that you might be interested in. And another thing that we do that nobody else does, we're the only company to partner with Gaia GPS. So if you like Gaia GPS, you can go on the website and with one click of a button, push upload to Gaia, and you can have all of our information, the entire track that's color coded with all the waypoints pushed up to Gaia with one click of a button.
Now, the only thing I hope they come out with is Uconnect integration like Gaia has. That would be sweet.
Yep, our next big plan is we have an Android app coming out in the next month, and we'll be doing CarPlay for Apple just after that, and we'll be doing Android Auto just after that. So,
that is awesome.
So stay tuned for the next coming wave of Trails Off-Road goodies.
So be sure, go to the website, trailsoffroad.com, and check out the app. It is awesome for finding trails and just learning as you go. It's fantastic. Thanks much.
Thanks for checking us out, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we are over here at Deadman Offroad. If you've never seen these products, they are super, super cool for recovery, for just getting unstuck in some unusual places sometimes. Sand, snow, rocks.
Yep, trees. I mean, what we are made here is an anchor. And that's what it does. It gives you that anchor point when you're stuck. You need to grab onto something. And so this thing will create that anchor point anywhere. Right? So like you said, around a tree, around a rock, in the ground, sand, snow, mud, anything you can dig, it'll bury into it. And you can use that as your anchor point. And so what we did here at the show at this is Mountain West. We're
in Colorado today.
We're in Colorado today, that's right. We have a new version where it's actually, instead of 2 long straps like we had before, it is now 1 large loop. And what that does for you is it just simplifies the setup. So instead of having to bring 4 corners together and doing secondary loops and primary loops, the previous design did work great, but it was a little bit more complicated. This, all you have to do is just bring 2 ends together, 1 soft shackle through the 2 of them, and the whole thing will self-balance under load. So once you start pulling on it, it'll just find that balance point and it'll start recovering it.
Very nice. Now, I've never needed to get out of sand. Thank goodness.
Yes, that's a good thing.
And that is one of the first things years ago when I saw the product was getting recovered out of deep sand.
Yes.
So tell us how that works.
So how that works is that you would bury it, and this is not just sand, it would be snow, and I'm going to say any ground application. So you bury it, so you dig a hole, you bury it, put it down, and then for sand, I recommend about knee deep, and then you bury it, bring the 2 straps together, then like I said, put the shackle on it, attach it to your winch, and then as you are pulling on it, it'll then settle itself It might move a little bit. You see the straps moving a little bit, but then it'll just start holding, and then your vehicle will start feeling that load, and then you can pop yourself out of that hole that you're in.
Sounds a lot easier than burying a spare tire.
Oh yeah, it's much more effective too. We've actually done side-by-side comparison of the spare tire, which that was a lot of fun to dig. And because the other thing is that you have to undig your spare tire. This you don't have to undig. You just grab one side of the straps and then you pull it out with the winch, and it'll just slip itself out. So,
Oh, that I didn't think about that.
yeah, so it's way easier to get out, and you don't have to rebury. And then it's more effective than a spare tire.
Okay, now tell us about some of the other products you have here.
Okay, yeah. So what we have here is just we have a kinetic rope. We like to call it a stretchy band, and so it's this is a 20-footer, and it's for that vehicle to vehicle recovery where it stretches under load when you're trying to yank somebody out. We have several soft shackles. We have 2 different variations. We have our standard soft shackle, which is rated for 30,000 pounds. We have a ruggedized one that has like some additional sheathing on the outside and some other coatings on the material itself just to protect it from abrasion and dirt and rocks and that sort of thing. We also have this thing called a dead loop, and what this is just a long rope, or circular, just a round rope, and this just gives you additional options for recovery. So you can use this to create, for instance, if you're recovering someone that doesn't have a recovery point, you can put this up around underneath the frame rail and actually now create yourself a recovery point on that vehicle. So you can just use this end.
And what's this rated for?
So this was rated for 17,000 pounds. And then this one here is 26,000 pounds, but this is...
Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Look at this. That's got some meat on it.
It does have some meat on it, and the thing with kinetic ropes, the one thing that you do have to look into is you want to find one that's rated for your vehicle. You do not want to get a too big one. This is a case where bigger is not better, because if it's too big, what will end up happening is that it won't stretch under load because you won't have enough momentum, and it'll end up producing a shock load on the system that's not, that you're trying to avoid. This one here, if it's rated to the right size of your vehicle, it'll stretch nicely, and then it'll give it a nice good tug without yanking them out in a harsh way.
So if for whoever was watching our Facebook thread yesterday about recovery, there was a big discussion between using a tow strap and a kinetic rope.
Right.
And a lot of people were saying you never use a kinetic rope on a Jeep because they're way too light. Well, that comes down to choosing the right rope.
Yes, exactly that. So like this one here, this 7/8 one is, we do recommend it for Jeeps, for Toyota Tundras and Tacomas, that rating. We do have a bigger size, which is much larger, and that's meant for like 10,000 plus vehicles. But exactly that. If you just choose the right size, it's going to be perfect for your vehicle, for that recovery.
Yeah, and I love recovery, these types of kinetic ropes. It makes recovery so much smoother than just yanking with a tow strap, maybe ripping a bumper off or something. Yeah. It is much safer, and for the occupants of both vehicles, huge difference. Huge difference. You're not going to get whiplash getting pulled with a kinetic rope. So check these out at Deadman Offroad. Anything else you want to share with us today?
That's pretty much everything we have right now. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Check out the stuff. Awesome products, high quality. Got to get them. Check them out. Deadman Offroad. All right, I am walking around Overland Expo and I see a fire. And fire typically does not mean wood these days in most places.
That's right.
So has to be a propane fire. So I come over and I find one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. It's called LavaBox.
It is called LavaBox. So propane campfire built inside of a military style ammo can. There's only one can like this. Everybody knows it. Ubiquitous can out there. Super tough. And this one puts out 120,000 BTUs of fire. That one puts out 200,000 BTUs of fire, 8-foot tall flame. It is amazing. 1,000 degrees at the top of this. So it's a real fire that actually fits in your rig, fits on your trailer, and maybe we'll stop some forest fires.
Now, if you've seen our rig, the Tribe trailer, we have some storage, but it's tight storage. There's no room to put one of those large round propane fire pits. So it's just not going to happen. But I see this little guy, and there's no doubt we can find some place for this. And that sounds like the main design purpose.
That was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan. Originally designed for rafts, and of course, once again, same as your trailer or your rig, there's no space. You got to have space for it. And so we built it for rafts, but we ended up realizing that people in the overland community really wanted it, especially because it's so tough and waterproof and can be on side of your vehicle, all of it. So
now, can this run off a standard tank or the 1 pound tank?
it can run off of anything. A 1 pound tank, the pressurization inside the 1 pound tank is not spectacular. So just know that it's going to be not as clean and smooth. But your 20 pound tank, your 11 pound tank, all those run a very smooth fire. And I guess we should probably turn it up, huh?
Yeah.
Show everybody.
I mean, I'm seeing here freaking roasting over here.
Yesterday was tough, but you guys are ready to see it really burn. So this is just a little one, and it makes a very.
He's gonna melt his easy.
Maybe. So it makes a very big fire. Yeah, a lot bigger than your standard round, bulky fire that's out there. So
these days, with all the fire bans going on, you gotta have propane. This seems like an ideal solution. Oh, let's talk price.
Yeah, absolutely. So cold roll steel one starts off, it patinas on its own, so each one is unique. Starts off looking like that and ends up looking like this. That's 6 months of patina. $155, so right in the same price band as everybody else. Without the rocks, the really cool ceramic rocks with it, $175, and then treated $185 with the paint, the high heat paint.
Now, are the rocks going to add any efficiency or to it?
The rocks are going to retain a lot more heat, and B, it's actually better to cook with those. You don't want to cook with a big yellow flame, so you want to be able to cook with the rocks like a coal, and you cook with those rocks, turn the flame way down and let the rocks do the work.
Excellent. So, looking for a propane stove that you can actually take with you places? Yeah, check out LavaBox. It's fireanytime.com.
Fireanytime.com, you got it.
And I would assume these are going like crazy.
They are. So get on the list. I'll get them out as fast as I can.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.
All right, we are over at the combo booth of Core and Stay the Trail. And if you've seen our Trail Traveler business cards, you see that we mention Stay the Trail because it's an important concept. But tell us about Core and Stay the Trail.
Okay, well, Core is the Colorado off-highway, off-road enterprise, Core is much easier to say. And we're a land use advocacy group that's based out of Buena Vista, Colorado, which is middle Colorado. And we've basically adopted most of the trails in Chaffee and Lake County. We've also branched out now into Gunnison and Park County and down in Saguache County a little bit. But we do a lot of trail advocacy, obviously Stay the Trail, we work hand in hand with them, but trail projects, keeping trails open, putting in kiosks, working with the Forest Service and BLM, doing cleanup, working with like Friends of the 4 Mile. So, some of these groups, organizations, and we do a thing called Fortina Fest every year, which is the end of September. And it's where we celebrate everything we do in the mountains. So whether you're a mountain biker, an equestrian, a hiker, you like to kayak, you like to fly fish, you like to Jeep, you like the single track. It's basically a 3-day block party. We close down 3 blocks in BV. Food court, beer garden, live music, vendors. Great
How can you go wrong with a beer garden and live music?
And then Deer Slayer whiskey's right there too. So that as they say, most people chase their whiskey with a beer, and Deer Slayer says no, you chase the beer with a whiskey. Anyways, so that's kind of what Core does. Then we also have another organization we kind of spun off called Trail Defenders, and we set that up because there's a couple of trails that we're trying to get reopened, and of course that's probably going to take legal action. So to keep things kind of clean, we separated that. Trail Defenders is a separate, and we're raising money right now to basically go to court and get trails reopened. So that's kind of what Core does. And then Stay the Trail is statewide. You heard of Tread Lightly. So we're like the Colorado version of Tread Lightly, except we're much more proactive, much more boots on the ground type. So we'll do everything from setting up at a trailhead on the weekend and testing dirt bikes for sound level, make sure they have spark arresters, right, which are requirements, make sure they have OHV stickers. And we're not an enforcement agency, we're an educational agency. So, and we have all our brochures, so we do map products. We do brochures for 4-wheel drive, single track ATVs, side-by-sides. A couple of our key focus areas the last couple of years have been the high alpine tundra. So when you're above the tree line in Colorado, it's like being on the tundra, and you're not even supposed to walk on it, right? And people don't understand that. And when you get people that come in from out of state, where maybe they're not used to wheeling on public lands, they don't understand the whole Stay the Trail concept because they're used to wheeling in, say, Texas, where most of the wheeling's done on private property, ranches, and you can drive wherever you want, right? Here, you got to Stay the Trail. So we encourage people to do that, and a couple of ways you do that is, one was this map, which is the whole state of Colorado, and it doesn't have every trail on it. But you can look, if you're going to go to an area and you look at the number, if you go to the back, this will tell you hey, that trail's open only to single track and ATVs, so I can't take my Jeep on it, but I can do this trail because that's open to Jeeps. And it also tells you where the trail's located, so you can go to the local land manager's website. So if you want to do Holy Cross, okay, we'll go to the Eagle Holy Cross Ranger District website, and it'll give you current trail information, rather than trusting what might be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. So go to the source and say, hey, the Forest Service says the trail's open and you're good to go. Or it might explain seasonal closures. There's something else we do in Colorado. And most of our senior closures are voluntary. We don't do mud in Colorado. Right. So I spent 36 years in the Army. So you get on the south, everybody, mud's the big thing, right? Well, here our mud is a little different.
Doesn't self-heal.
It doesn't self-heal. It's also slick in the snot when it's so. Some of these easy trails get real hard if they're wet, right? But the problem is those ruts will stay there for years and years and years unless somebody goes up and cleans them. We have the same problem above the tree line. So that's kind of, an area. The other area is that side-by-sides. So, everywhere. It's not just a Colorado issue, but there's been a huge explosion in the side-by-side community. And they're all well-intentioned and good people, but they just don't know, right? They don't know because they didn't grow up off-roading.
And dealers don't do any education.
Very few, but so in defense of like a rental agency, if I'm renting side-by-sides in Uray on a Saturday morning and I got 15 people lined up, all I care about is getting the paperwork signed and getting them out the door. I don't necessarily have time to stop and say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do off-road. Now, the rental agencies all have our State of the Trail literature in their stores, but it's a passive thing. People grab it, whatever. So it's going to take us a while. It's got to re-educate people and help them out. But we also do our trail projects. So we partner with all the motorized people and even some non-motorized folks, and we'll work on projects, whether it's putting in a new kiosk to educate people about the trail, whether it's clearing avalanche debris. And we had a huge avalanche problem back in 2018, 2019 with debris falls. So we had clubs that had gone out, and trails that normally would open in end of May or beginning of June didn't open until July because we had such a snowpack. And the snow took that much longer to melt. And then once it melted, we had to go in and clear out all the avalanche debris. So we've been very successful in getting some trails reopened, and then just getting trails maintained. And a lot of times, and I tell people, when you get to the bottom of the trail, read the kiosk. And then there's usually a sign that tells you, hey, this trail's been adopted by the Creeper Jeepers gang, like Black Bear, one of the most famous trails in the world, right? Is adopted by Creeper Jeepers gang. Well, if you read their sign, it tells you short wheelbase, high clearance, 4-wheel drive, recommended, I think is what it says.
Which means you can take a Subaru, right?
So here's a real quick origin story for you. So last year I was down, spending a long weekend in Uray. So the day we got there was a Volvo up on Mineral Creek. Now, it wasn't that the Volvo couldn't handle Mineral Creek. It's the street tires, the 22-inch rims with the low-profile tires. Yeah, they don't do well on these trails. So they were stuck because they shredded all 4 tires.
Oh.
Then the next day we were on Black Bear, and we got up on the trail really early so we'd be ahead of everybody, only to find out there's been a Mercedes SUV right there at the corner by the waterfall. Same thing. Shredded his tires, he couldn't go anywhere. And they had the whole trail blocked, but he was there all night waiting for the tow truck to come up. So,
yeah, actually 2 weeks ago when we were in the San Juans, we saw at least 5 Porsche Cayennes trying to take trails. And I'm like, street tires, street pressure, I should come back and check on them in a couple hours.
But I followed a BMW X5 over Black Bear a few years back, but he had all-terrain tires.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to the guy. He says, oh yeah, I have street tires back at the house, but I was coming to do trails, so I put these, So he had a smaller rim with a bigger tire.
Yeah.
And when if he's not off-roading, and he swaps his street tires back on, which makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense, absolutely.
I know people who would do that in the winter. Well, I grew up in Rhode Island, so used to put the snow tires on in the wintertime, and you just leave them mounted on this cheap pair of steel rims, right? So you didn't. It was easy to do. So yeah. So. Right, and all of our products are free. The last thing I'll touch base on is the OHV sticker program. So here in Colorado, if you're on a dirt bike, ATV, side by side, you need an OHV sticker. State law. $25.25. 25 cents goes to help search and rescue statewide. Doesn't fund them completely, obviously, but it helps out. The other 25, about $6 goes to administrative costs. The other 19 goes into the OHV grant fund. And every year we do about $4.5 million back to the motorized community through funding things like Stay the Trail. The OHV crews for the Forest Service and the BLM funded through the OHV grant program. If a club or a town or city, county, Forest Service, anybody who's got a big project and it's not budgeted for it, they can apply for a grant. So right now they're taking grants, and the money will become available in 23. So the grants for 22, it's because it's fiscal year, right now, calendar year. So the grants for 22 just got approved in the spring. So the people submit grants in the fall and they get acted on in the springtime. And that's just a great program. Now in Colorado, there are some trails that even if you're in a street legal Jeep, you still need an OHV sticker for. And we have information about that as well. And what had happened was the Colorado Parks and Wildlife has decided to adopt the Forest Service definition of what's a road versus a trail. So if it's purely a trail, in other words, it's not a county road or anything else, it's maintained or administered by the Forest Service or the BLM, and it's labeled just as a trail. Not always true, but normally it'll have a 4-digit number to it instead of a 3 or 2-digit. And this is, so even in a Jeep, you'd still need an OHV sticker.
So keep that in mind. There are some that do require the OHV stickers. I really appreciate your time. If you want to help support keeping our trails open, keeping them healthy, educating people, be sure and support CORE and Stay the Trail.
StayTheTrail.org.
A lot of people down here are familiar with the problems going on down in the gulches, the Hackett Gulch and that area with the river crossings and the closures down there. That's one of the projects that you guys are working on.
Exactly.
And so it's very important for a lot of us to help support them in their efforts. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed this look at Overland Expo. This is just phenomenal to be out here with everybody, meeting some vendors, meeting some people, people walking up and saying, "Hey, Trail Traveler, I watch your channel." Very, very cool. If you do see me somewhere, be sure and come up and say hi. I really appreciate it. But we did a lot of stuff today, so hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.